Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny, and she's never going to let the disgruntled harpies die.
Nope.
I said it once.
I'm Wiggles, and I will never die as a disgruntled harpy. It means I'm immortal.
Hey, you can't prove that I'm not immortal. Until I die, I'm immortal.
Anyway, before these two go even further off the rails, if you haven't figured it out, we're some crass ladies. So I gotta warn you, gotta let you know before we get too far in, that we're gonna talk about anything and everything that is related to romance. And we're gonna use all of the 4-letter words that we love to say. So if you don't like swearing or talking about the bedroom activities, there's the exit.
I use 5-letter words sometimes too.
Titular.
Which is not a 5-syllable word.
But it's also not a 5-letter word, is it?
No,
it's not.
It reminded me of it. Sorry.
Listen, shut up.
Okay. But what have you guys been up to? I haven't seen you in forever. Tell me what you've been doing.
So I'm not gonna lie, we've had a very busy time here, and I was real tired and kind of weird this week. So I have one of my favorite streamers was doing a subathon, so I've been watching her stream on Twitch a lot, and I did something I haven't done in years, which is I was like, I'm going to go lay in my bed and watch this Twitch streamer and just kind of chill out a little bit before I go to bed. And then I woke up at 1:40 in the morning with the light still on, with my watch still on, and my iPad dead, and had it was a very short one before I realized that it wasn't 1:40 in the afternoon and I haven't missed half of my work fucking day. But I had a little momentary freak out thinking that I overslept because the light was on, and yeah. So I've been doing that a lot.
Honestly, I did fuck all this weekend and it was glorious. And so I got nothing to report other than embrace your inner fuck it all.
Yep. Well, don't you worry. I've got you covered.
I know you do.
I read Eat My Moondust by Etta Pierce, which is the companion series to her Interstellar Union series. It's a grumpy sunshine alien sci-fi romance. And it was cute, but it probably is my least favorite of her books so far. Yeah, so it was like a 3. And then I read Not Her Villain by Irene Bard, another 3. You know, just some classics. I'm going to leave it at that.
Great
Fair
move.
enough.
So let's introduce the book, because I completely forgot to do that at the top of the episode. Today we are reading and discussing with you Twisted Love by Ana Huang. Wiggs, take it away.
Well, just a humble brag here. Our gal Anna is a New York Times, Sunday Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Amazon #1 best-selling author. So she's making the rounds. Best known for her Twisted series, which is what we are reading today. But she's got several other series out there, which I'll talk about in just a minute. She writes new adult contemporary romance with deliciously alpha heroes, strong heroines, and plenty of steam, angst, and swoon. Her books have been translated in over 24 languages and have been featured in outlets such as NPR, Cosmopolitan, Financial Times, and Glamour UK, which I got questions.
Okay.
Financial Times. What?
I'm guessing they're just talking about how popular her books are and what kind of money she's making off them, or how much money they're producing.
I don't know. But there's a part of me that wants to look up the article out of pure curiosity of what is Financial Times? What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. I don't read the Financial Times.
I don't know. I'm poor.
Exactly.
A few other fun facts about our gal here. She is a self-professed travel enthusiast, loves incorporating beautiful destinations into her stories, and will never say no to a good chai latte. Same. Those are good. Those are delicious things. Here are some books because I'm not going to list them all off because she's been pretty prolific. She's got the Kings of Sin series, which starts with Kings of Wrath, Kings of Pride, yada, 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 Kings of many things. She also has her Twisted series, which, like I said, we're reading now. And she's got what she calls her like Sweet and Steamy series with books like If We Ever Met Again, If the Sun Never Sets, If Love Had a Price, yada, yada. You get the point. I gotta say, I do enjoy the symmetry that some authors have where they're just like, I'm just going to basically change like like a little part of the title and it's otherwise the same title. I find that enjoyable. I don't know why. And then finally, she is working on a steamy sports romance set in the world of the English Premier League, aka football or soccer, and it's called The Striker. No other information about that right now. I think she's actively working on it. So, Danny, what is the book we're reading today and what's it about?
Okay, so Twisted Love. So it is about Ava, who is a super sunshiny person, although she does not remember most of her childhood because traumatic things happened. And then her brother's best friend, Alex, whom her brother is going away to do it's volunteering. It's something to do with medical school, though, which I never... It has to be something like Doctors Without Borders or something.
Except that he's not a doctor yet.
Except for he's not a doctor yet.
I think he's just studying abroad.
No, he's doing a volunteer thing down in South America, isn't he? And
Yeah.
like helping people down there?
I don't know. I think you're right. I don't know what organization they...
Well, yeah, it's something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like he's helping with that kind of thing. So he lives across the street from her. Her brother does. And so he's like, hey, I'm going away. Take care of my sister. And so Alex moves in next door and he's all assholey and she doesn't like him but does like him, and then they're all like fighting and she's trying to make him show different emotions and everything, you know. And then lots of traumatic things happen. It gets very confusing. There's a lot of subplots in this that get very confusing. Anyway, he fucks up real bad and he spends over a year trying to make it up to her. Discuss.
Well, in this instance, I would not necessarily characterize it that he fucked up really bad, because that implies that like he made a mistake and it was just a really bad one.
Yeah, no, it's
He made years and years of bad choices.
8 years. 8 years of bad choices.
Yeah. So, you know, he did need to make the atonement that he did, I guess. Could have done more, but that's me. All right, so let's talk about their first meeting, because I think that's a great way to set the tone.
So the first meeting in the book is not their first meeting. They have known each other for 8 years because Alex is Josh, who is Ava's brother. So he's Josh's best friend and has been coming to their Thanksgiving every year because his parents and family are dead.
Murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's lots of trauma in this book.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost put this on par with like Colleen Hoover's writing of like trauma for trauma's sake a little bit. But she does add some interesting components to it. Alex has a condition. I can't remember what it is, but rather than a photographic memory, it's along those lines. And he remembers every single thing that's ever happened to him ever.
Which,
yeah.
Your brain would be so busy.
oh my God, it would not. I already have insomnia, and part of that is my ADHD, because like I lay in bed and then it's like, I'm going to think of really obscure things. If I could never forget certain things, like anything about my life, I would never sleep, which he has really bad insomnia.
Yeah. He says he sleeps like 2 hours or something a night, which is not healthy.
No.
Your body will break down from that over time.
No wonder he's a little bit psycho.
Yeah.
I remember, so every time I think about the reality of specifically the like memories you have that you're like, God, why did I do that? Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think about this article I read a long time ago, but I think it's Jeff Dunn, but like, let me look it up and contractually change that later. I didn't mean that person's name if he's wrong. But the point is, he's a comedic writer, and he wrote this article about why human beings are the way they are. And he's like, it's because you'll be just sitting there at a barbecue one day, and all of a sudden you'll have this flashback to this stupid thing you did or you said 10 years ago, and you'll look at that barbecue fork and you'll be like, I could just right in the eye, right straight to the brain. to shut it off. And that's what I think about every time. I'm like, that's how it feels. It feels like you just want to scoop it out and just throw that part away.
Yep. Just nope, that never happened. There's definitely times where I'm like, oh, I really wish that memory would just go away.
Yeah. And so in some ways that does make his personality make a little more sense, because if you had to live with every single thing that you did, you would definitely make all the effort in the world to not be embarrassed, to not be put in a position where you feel anxiety, to not be in a position where you're uncomfortable, because you're going to have to fucking relive it at some point.
Yeah, it also explains why, like, he's not erratic. He comes off as very much in control of everything, but reading some of his perspectives, I feel like he's a little all over the place, and that kind of makes sense sometimes because, well, you've got everything just replaying up there.
Well, and it's not only just that he has everything replaying, but he's also had horrible things happen to him. And so the fact that he has to replay his parents' and sister's murder that took place in front of him when he was like 10.
Yeah. He was supposed to be at camp.
Yeah. He was supposed to be gone. And he literally watched, and they were having such this really made me sad when they finally like reveal how it happened and everything. Like, they were playing a fucking board game, and he was like running to get snacks or whatever and yelled at his little sister not to cheat. Like that, it was that little, hey, don't cheat, as he was like running to get snacks, that for whatever reason I was like, oh my God. Oh no.
Well, the other thing about him is he is a genius, like insanely high IQ, which I'm sure the being able to remember everything plays into that a little bit.
Well, he started his company at like 14.
Yeah.
Well, and it did have that very annoying, in my opinion, trope of they're the best. This
Yes.
person's the smartest person in the world.
Yeah.
He's the coolest person in the world. He's the richest person in the world. No.
And the thing where the like one flaw he has is actually just like a really cool thing about him, but he like he is super controlling because he has to like manage his memories and his genius and all of that. And it's like, okay, buddy, calm down.
Well, and it's like, for a genius, he makes some dumbass fucking moves.
Right.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I get that all of that is the reason why somebody at 27, because he's 27 in this, is a billionaire, which it happens, I guess. I don't really think there's a lot of self-made billionaires at 27, but sure.
It does happen though.
Sure. No part of him seemed 27.
No.
Like, no part of him in that book was 27.
I completely forgot that he was 27. I thought he was
like 37,
like
maybe?
30 something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a genius, and he's got this like essentially photographic memory, right? And he's got his $1 billion and his company and everything, and he's an amazing like cage fighter or MMA or whatever the fuck it was.
Krav Maga.
Same thing. It's not.
It's
I'm not. But it is the same thing in the context of his character development.
Yes,
is what I
correct,
mean by
yes.
that. Like, it could be any type of fighting.
And how do you have time for all of that? Something's got to give it. I realize he only sleeps like 2 hours a night, but something's got to give at some point.
Well, and he also is an amazing singer, even though he doesn't sing. We find that out at the very end.
Yeah, he's actually got the voice of an angel. Oh my God.
Just like, you can't be good at everything. Isn't it almost a little bit unattractive to have somebody be like, I'm the best at everything?
Yes.
It's the Superman complex where it's just like he's almost unbeatable, and it's kind of like, well, that gets boring.
Right. Except that the one thing he's not good at is communicating.
Yeah, that's true.
And being a personable person. You know, so just basic human life skills. You ain't got those.
Here's the thing. And I totally thought, like, I did like this book. However, there was definitely a point where we get to a point and you realize that, spoilers, huge spoilers. You realize that, so he set up her dad to go down for a bunch of stuff because he thought her dad was the one who ordered the hit on his family. As it turns out, it was his uncle who did it, who had her dad take the fall. Not that her dad didn't deserve shit, because we will get into that. But we got to a point where he's confronted his uncle. He's confessed that he's been in their lives for the last 8 years to get towards her dad and everything, with her standing in the room. It is at that point that I realized how much longer the book was and was like,
yes.
oh,
I'm laughing because that was also the point where I was like, wait, there's more book.
Because they could have ended it there. He could have been like, look, yes, this is true. And like done the, talked about the making it up to her and everything. And it could have been done. Mm-hmm. But it just kept going. And I was like, okay, I like the book. I do. And I am actually very glad that she didn't just like, boom, forgive him. Like he spent over a year with them sometime apart with, trying to make it up to her. Because he spent a year in London, but she'd been there for like
a few months at least.
I want to say like 6 to 8 months. So like I am extremely pleased with, she didn't just, oh my God, I forgive you. Thank you. Yes. Love that. Thank you. Because boy didn't just fuck up. Boy made it seem like they were friends for 8 years, which they were. He pointed out that it started out that way, but it didn't end that way. However, he had a lot of splaining to do. But it was definitely the point where they were like, they got to that point. I'm like, okay, so yeah, the book is almost over. They'll have, the explaining and making up and everything. And nope, there was quite a bit of book left.
3 hours later.
Yep. Granted, it was not like in the line, because I listened to the audiobooks because audiobook daddy, our favorite Aiden Snow, he's amazing. In the grand scheme of things, as far as audiobooks is concerned, was it super long? No, it was like 10 hours.
This was 10 hours?
It was 10 hours.
Okay.
And as always, when I listen to romance books, when I am listening to an audiobook, it is on 2 times speed.
Can't fucking hear what they're saying then.
I
Danny.
usually
You can. You just gotta
can't.
tune your brain to it. Like if you want to read audiobooks quickly, this is how you do it, right? So you start by just bumping it up to 110. Then you go to 125 and you just listen to books at 125 for a while. Like don't make any change to it.
Yep.
Then eventually you bump yourself up to 150 and then everything above that you're like, I'm fine.
Now, I normally can start at 150 and be completely fine. I cannot start at 2 time.
Yeah. Like you can't start your book at two time. You have to have gotten acclimated to their voices. But if you're just beginning the process of, I want to read this book faster, just do a simple 110 because you're not ready for the big leagues. Trust me, you'll be like, this is gibberish.
Because I do it here's the thing. I know that. I know I need to start at 1.5 to like get myself acclimated a little bit before I bump it up again. Every single fucking time. I started at 2 and then go, oh no. Like 2 sentences and I'm like, oh, what are you doing, Danny? You know better.
I spent a decent amount of today listening to an audiobook, and the amount of time, and I listened to it at just the regular speed, no increases. I had to restart multiple chapters different times, and that's not because the book is bad or I disliked it. I was really enjoying it. I just get distracted. I'm just doing other things while listening, and my brain, it goes places.
I mean, I also do other things while listening. I was definitely in Aldi while listening to this book.
I can't do that. I cannot listen to podcasts or audiobooks while I'm shopping.
I can. I sometimes make poor decisions with leaving the house while listening to audiobooks. Dead Romantics. Thank you very much for that one. Crying in Ulta. Oh my God, it was so bad. And here's the thing. When I left, it's not like I wasn't aware that this was probably a poor decision. Because as I pulled out of my apartment parking lot is when her dad died in that book, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be so bad. But it is what it is.
Well, so this is what I have to say to that whole conversation, right? One, it really depends on the person who's narrating the book. Some people have significantly slower speech patterns.
Correct.
Sure.
But what you are experiencing when you are listening to a book at like 1.5 speed, that's what my brain tries to do when I'm reading. Only instead, my eyes can't like keep up, and my brain and my eyes are trying to do this like tug of war of who's in control. And so for me, 1.5 speed is just like the pace at which my brain would naturally read if my eyes didn't get in the way.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite. I can read like a book or ebook or whatever very fast. When I do sometimes miss things or things get a little confusing, but I can't do that with an audiobook.
and I cannot. I actually am a very slow reader, which is why, if y'all haven't noticed, 90% of the time I listened to the audiobook. Also, I cannot sit still, and I need to. I have actually gotten to a point where I need to almost constantly be listening to something and doing something else. And so a lot of times I'll be listening to audiobooks and stuff and like playing a video game, all of the things.
But like, depending on the video game, then you'll be paying attention to the video game. If I was playing Baldur's Gate and trying to listen to audiobook, it wouldn't work.
Oh, I do.
Would not work. No, because then I'm not. It's my first playthrough. I have to consume the game.
I enjoy it if it's a mindless game, and by that I mean like a Candy Crush, a Tetris.
I play Civ. I play
Yeah.
Civ and do that, but that's a turn-based game too, so I can just like pick up a controller, do some stuff, put it down.
I've definitely listened to more than one audiobook while playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
I can't do it then either, and I've played Red Dead Redemption 2, but sometimes it's very intense. You got to shoot all the people in a very short amount of time.
I mean, there has been a couple of times where I might have killed my horse because I was not paying attention to where I was going.
Yeah.
My trouble with all of that is I almost have mind residue when I'm doing anything that requires any like muscle memory. So like if I'm running when I'm reading a book, the next time I'm running, I'll be remembering that book.
Oh, I've done that, yeah.
Or if I'm playing a video game and I like Candy Crush and I've been listening to an audiobook, I will start remembering that regardless of whether or not I'm listening to that audiobook.
Sure, your mind is creating connections between things.
Yes. And so I have to be really careful with that because otherwise sometimes what will happen is if there's still like this residue for a video game or an exercise that I was doing, anything like that, right? I will start conflating the two stories. And I'll be like, there's not vampires in this story. Why is this happening?
I do that with places because, for instance, this was also a very bad idea to go out in public while listening to that one. For Not All Himbos, and for this one, I went to Aldi.
Do not listen to Not All Himbos Wear Capes in Public.
Yep, nope.
Do not do that.
Poor decision.
Not even the first chapter.
No.
Yep, nope.
She just announced that the second one is coming out at the end of February.
What do you mean the second one? She's already got like
the second audiobook.
Oh, I was like, what?
But it's a different actor.
And then also, Alta makes me think of Dead Romantics because I was crying in Alta. And then, oh God, now I can't remember Secretly Yours is because I was driving to a family vacation and missed my turn because,
Anyway,
We should probably get back on track.
we should.
Yes.
So we just spewed all of what Alex is. So let's talk about the other piece of the puzzle here, Ava, who is Miss Sunshine in Rainbows and Butterflies. And I think I would hate her in real life.
So I think I've mentioned this before. When somebody is overly happy and looks at the world and goes, I'm not going to acknowledge that. I'm going to just be sunshine and rainbows. I don't trust them. And I was right. Right? Like there was nothing necessarily untrustworthy about her specifically, but I don't trust her surface. You know what I mean? There's more going on there.
Right.
hey, I'm fairly sunshine and rainbow surfacey.
Danny,
Maybe to like people who don't know you.
That's entirely fair.
the layup and the assist.
Bitch. Bitches.
But so we find out a lot about her trauma, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But she does know some of it. She knows that she was almost drowned when she was a child, and because of that, she's afraid of bodies of water to the point that she won't hop on a plane because she's afraid to cross bodies of water in a plane.
Which, fair enough. I have traumatized in that reason. Fairly logical. But
Yeah, fun fact, I almost drowned once. I'm not traumatized though.
yeah,
Is this your
I'm fine.
ice fishing story?
My what?
Your ice fishing story.
Oh no. I was most likely going to survive that one. No, but she's also got this added attachment, or what do they call that? Not difficult attachment, anxious attachment factor to her personality because to her knowledge, her mother pushed her into the water to drown her. And she really didn't see her mother after that, right? So, it makes sense that she would fall for a guy like Alex, who's determined to protect her, even if she tells him not to.
Also,
Sure.
her brother's been entirely overprotective for a very long time, which he also believes that their mother tried to murder his little sister.
Right.
So I understand the overprotection, but she is an adult now, so maybe back up a little bit.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. And almost every story, I'm like, the overprotective men in this woman's life always annoy the shit out of me, because it's like, okay, what are you going to be with her 24/7? Like, shit
Right.
happens all the time everywhere. Maybe you could just let her have a free life, and if bad things happen, they're going to happen no matter what. Not saying like don't look out for your friends and family, but I am saying that like there's a point where you are going too far, and in almost all of these stories they're going too far.
Yep.
And this is a point where I get to put in my perspective. You two are the oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am the baby, and my only sibling is an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
I would have told him to fuck the fuck off so long before. Like, he's so overprotective and is constantly like checking in on her and everything. And I love my brother very much. If he was that involved with my life, I would have slaughtered him.
Josh actually doesn't bother me, but that's also because Josh really isn't in this book, so we don't have an opportunity to get bothered by him. The amount of times I would have slapped Alex, let me tell you, it's pretty high.
Well, so I will say this one thing in response. Alex sort of becomes a pseudo parent, and I think that's why you don't see her reaction to him being exactly what you describe of like fuck the fuck off, because you wouldn't tell your parent to fuck the fuck off if they were like, make sure you put your seatbelt on, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so like he's been so parentified in that situation that even he doesn't see it that way. Like, it's just his job.
True. I will say, in one thing, in Josh's defense, she did have a ex-boyfriend situation that was happening. And
Yes.
so with him leaving, that was his main concern, because her ex-boyfriend was coming around a lot and trying to like get back with her and wasn't taking no for an answer. And so I do understand the like must protect moment too, but like at the same time, she took care of that situation for the most part.
Yeah, but from what we gather, Ava really hasn't shown to anybody that she is very good at taking care of herself up to
Right.
this point.
Right.
And Josh only asked Alex to just, hey, I'm going to be out of the country. I can't like keep an eye on her or check in with her really.
Right.
So can you just like check in with her? And then Alex was like, but what if I just move into your house that's right across the street from her?
And he's like, bet.
I was like, well, I mean, guess that's what you want, buddy.
Which is like a 45-minute drive from your work.
Listen, okay. I think we've come to the point where we have to get to the sticking point of what made me immediately hate this book. The Josh character and the Alex character are the exact type of Andrew Tate motherfuckers that I want to punch in the scrotum. They're all like, women are this and that, and like talk about them like they're whores, but also the women that they consider to be valuable in their lives are put on a pedestal and are different, right? This is literally the kind of shit that you have on the where we have this internet trend, which is don't give men microphones because they'll get on the internet and spew dumb shit. If those two had a podcast, right, they would literally be those people. And so I'm just like, God, I can't root for you at all, because you're the type of person that I want to light on fire. So this one was a hard one for me to get into.
I didn't get that as much from Alex. Like I understand in the beginning he was very much like, I don't want to be with any of these women who are trying to like get all up on me. I just want the easy situations I have, but I don't want any commitment. But Josh was like, I fuck you and I fuck you and I fuck you and we're all gonna fuck all the time.
I agree, because Alex, here's the thing with Alex is he did have certain women that he went to fuck, but they were all like, they all knew it. This is what we do. There is no strings attached. Even bitch face McGee, who I can't remember her name right now. Madeline, yes. Even Madeline, she did know that there were no strings attached. They had the conversations. She just really thought that she could break his boundaries and fix that situation. It's like, nah, No, he had the conversation with you. This is a fuck relationship. This is not a relationship.
I wouldn't have a problem if they only talked about Madeline the way they talk about Madeline, but they talk about her best friend. What's her name? Julie? J name something.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's Julia or Julie.
I think it's one of those two.
They called her Jessica Rabbit, and I think Josh wants her.
I think
Well,
so
the
too.
they've between her and Josh.
I think they've
Okay,
they've
perfect.
gotten together before, and they've got like
Hate relationship.
yeah. But you know, the way that both of them talk about her, not in their head, not in their POV, like that's already not great, but like out loud to each other, they're like, well, she's, you know, as much of a hazard to her to my sister as anybody else, and this other bullshit. And I'm like, literally just stop talking.
Her name is Jules.
Jules. I was close.
And I guess, you know, I don't mind the whole, hey, we're just here to be fucking, right? Because like, hey, you do you. If everybody's consenting, have fun. But the party that Josh had for his birthday felt like a cartoon,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know?
It also felt like a freshman college party when he's supposed to have already graduated and is about to go on a medical relief thing. Like,
I've been to my fair share of college parties, and maybe I just like haven't been to the right ones. And like there were plenty of like sexualization happening at them. I just don't remember any that were like, hey, all of these bitch. It was like Blue Mountain State. If you've seen Blue Mountain State, that was this party.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say that's a perfect analogy.
I mean, I will say most of our college friends are, for the most part, fairly respectful of women, though, so maybe we wouldn't have seen that as much, but...
Well, I want to reinforce my point that Alex and Josh are Andrew Tate wannabes. In a scene not that long after, where what the fuck is the main character's name now?
Which one, Alex or Ava?
Ava, that's the one I needed. So Ava is working with a friend on some boudoir photography, and Alex comes storming in because she didn't answer her text for like an hour. What a bitch. Right? And then makes them delete all of the pictures and threatens to like destroy this guy who is like having a very voluntary photography session that had nothing to do with this man.
It was for his portfolio. This part pissed me off. And
Yes.
it not only
Yes.
pissed me off at Alex, but it pissed me off at Jules.
Oh yeah, Jules should not have led Alex there.
Jules is not really a great friend.
No,
No.
she's not. Because not only did she baited him and took him there, but she knew what she was doing. She could have been like, look, they're working on a project for her friend's portfolio.
Well, I think from the beginning, Jules wants them to get together. And so this is her method of manipulation. Doesn't make it less shitty, but I think her motives make more sense that way.
Well, and I agree that that's what she wants, but it's a shitty friend move.
Oh, yeah. But have we not all at some point had a shitty friend that you just go, what the fuck are you doing right now? You
Not
know?
for very long.
Well, ain't that the truth?
And maybe Jules didn't expect Alex to react that much because she does have an entire scene, if not a couple later, where she's saying, and then Alex did this. I couldn't believe it, essentially. So she expected a reaction, but not, I'm guessing, that level of reaction.
I think she's also there for the drama, you know?
Oh, yeah. She's totally there for the drama.
I obviously have not read her book yet, but I have the feeling that she's the kind of person that like makes reality TV her life in real life, right?
Sure.
Like she imagines herself the main character of a reality television show. But the main reason I was fucking pissed about all of that was, number one, Alex needs to mind his fucking business. It's none of his business. But more importantly, his attitude about it is that those girls who do those things, do you want to be one of those girls? Bitch, eat my fucking ass. Are you kidding me?
Also, boudoir photographers make a shit ton of money.
Yes.
Because it takes a lot of talent to be able to get people into those positions are not easy.
No, they're
To be
not.
able to get the people into those positions and feeling the way they feel in order to capture those kind of pictures. Mm-hmm. Those could be very empowering. I've had multiple friends be like, Danny, I think you should do this. And I'm like, negatory ghostwriter? Not my thing. But hell yeah, I will be down for anybody doing it.
I think I'd do it.
I would do it. For sure. I thought about it.
I've definitely thought about it. I'm like, while I'm young and hot, like let's, before the titties are dragging on the ground, like let's take care of it.
I admittedly don't like this.
I don't like my this
for
either, but I think that's kind of one of the reasons I want to do it is I want to see can somebody make it look better? I don't know.
Okay. First of all, just because, you guys need to hear this. You're both super fucking hot.
Wiggles, we were not fishing.
I know you weren't. I'm just telling you because you need to hear it. You're super hot.
Listen, if you wanted to get with me, you had many opportunities. It's too late.
we both know that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But no, I've heard from a lot of people that boudoir photography makes them feel much more confident in their bodies because they're taking photos that are very flattering. And we're used to seeing ourselves in shitty selfies.
Right.
Yeah.
Or our warped perspective of ourselves when we look in the mirror. Looking at ourselves through the lens of somebody else who sees us as potentially the hottest thing in the fucking room is going to give you that big confidence boost. So, I would say let's all go get boudoir photography done tomorrow.
I do think if I ever did it, I wouldn't want to go alone. So I probably would call you and be like, Wiggs, can you just come with me? I'm sure it'd be awkward for you to watch it, but can you just be my safe person?
I mean, yeah.
I know.
Is the answer.
I know you would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so back to the scene at hand. I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Oh, I would have lost my goddamn mind on him.
Some guy who at this point, they're not dating, they're not together, they're not anything, breaking in, essentially, in a way, to my friend's house, yelling at my friend who I agreed to help take these photos for his portfolio. And then yelling at me, what are you doing? You can't do that. People might see you like this. It's fuck off.
Well, and there's the other thing is that she's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
She is a photographer. She's apparently a very talented photographer. And for him to destroy not only her friend's work, but her work, they both put this work into, together to do this. I can't see her going as placidly as she does about this.
Well, and to also kind of destroy that relationship.
Yeah.
Well, he threatens not just the I'll kill you the next time I see you, which, no.
Whatever, caveman.
But he threatens to destroy this guy's career.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's just getting his footing, that's, and he has the power to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we find out because he does destroy Liam's career, her ex-boyfriend. Which that's pretty deserved.
Yeah.
Because he kind of tried to do some shit. And then Madeline's career, her entire family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he takes down her family's business.
Yeah. So, I think, I don't even know. I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated with him. At what point are we supposed to go, oh, but he's a good guy?
Well, I think
bitch, where?
I think that's supposed to start happening when he cancels his date with Madeline to stay in and have a movie night with Ava.
Sure.
But I don't know. It was a really awkward scene.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended with her falling asleep on his couch. And his response to that is, well, I'll take you up to my bed.
Right.
Where
he
I
could've
will
just
also
left-
be sleeping.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, this is supposed to be what? Romantic? It's supposed to give us that awkward.
Yeah, I was like, so leave me on the couch.
Right?
Yeah.
That to me was more reading as threatening.
Yes.
And again, I understand that not all guys get this, but listen when we fucking tell you, if you are a guy and you're listening to this, it is terrifying to wake up in a space you don't expect to wake up in, first of all. But when you also are not waking up in the place that you went to sleep.
Oh, hell no.
That does not make me feel endeared to you. That makes me feel way distrusting of you.
As it is, if I wake up and something is not as I expect it when I wake up. For instance, I passed out watching the stream the other night and I woke up with the light on. My phone was not on the charger. The iPad was dead and my watch was still on. That terrified me for a moment, not only because I thought I was late for work, which I was nowhere near, but it took me just a minute to figure out what was happening, where I was, because things are not the way they're supposed to be when I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and on top of it, she wakes up basically laying kind of half on top of him and apparently with her hand on his crotch.
Yes.
Can't say that I've ever.
You know, when I wake up and I flail around, I don't usually find my hands in those places, but I'm old fashioned that way.
As someone who does wake up with another person in bed, it does happen.
I'm sure it does happen.
The just waking up with your hands in inappropriate place. Well, it's not inappropriate if you're married. It's like, whatever. It happens. But to just wake up.
But like fully cupping it? Come on, man. Like the way it's described is that she's like basically the bun to his hot dog.
Uh-huh. Anyway, we're going to move past that. But she freaks out because it's like, did we do something last night? What happened? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know. What was he thinking? Why would you do that?
And I realize he doesn't really understand the extent of her memory issues because she doesn't talk about it. And I don't think her brother ever talked about the fact that she doesn't, because that's news to him when she does tell him that she doesn't remember most of her childhood.
Yeah.
But like, for someone who has memory issues and she wakes up and is cupping genitalia of a man that she has not ever touched in that way before, you would have the things of what the fuck.
Yeah. That's the rational reaction.
Yeah.
Ay, vey.
Granted, I also, as a woman, I'm like, I would be able to tell if I had had sex, just saying. But,
Well,
that's just me, though.
I'm not saying I disagree with you entirely, but you know, your brain might not automatically jump to
Yeah.
what sensations am I feeling?
Yeah.
You know?
Also understandable. Also, she was in panic. I get that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my internal thing is, I would be able to tell, but at the same time, I completely understand why she'd be like, the fuck?
Well, and his reasoning, because we get his POV when he takes her upstairs, is just like, she should be comfortable. But also it's my bed, so I want to lay in it too. And it's like, dude, for somebody who's supposed to be a genius, you have very low social intelligence.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely low social intelligence.
Or lack of care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is an equally appropriate read of the situation, which is just like, I don't give a shit enough about women to know not to do things like this.
Yeah. I don't even know what the next scene is after that, because we go into, well, because there's a jumble of scenes that come up about this time in the book.
I will say this book is very confusing in that there are 8 plots, I feel like.
Yes, because I think we're getting to the point where Jules decides that they want to do an experiment and see if they can get Alex to show different emotions.
Well, that was the reason for the movie night, is because they were trying
Right.
to get him to show sadness.
And
she tries to notebook him, doesn't she?
No, Walk to Remember and Marley and Me.
yeah. And so then they go on a picnic because she's trying to, I don't remember what that emotion was.
Joy.
And I don't know why Alex ever agreed to go on a picnic with her. That seemed very out of character for him.
Yeah, it's true.
And then she makes him really awful garlic cookies to try to get him to show disgust. She doesn't.
I completely forgot that happened.
Yeah. There's another
Jealousy
one.
was another one that she called off jealousy because she was like, no, we're not doing that.
But it ends up happening anyway because
Yep.
then for some reason that I can't really understand, there's a gala, whatever you want to say.
Right?
It.
That she should not be invited to because it's for alumni only.
Yeah.
But she got invited and it was explained, but I don't remember.
Yeah, she did have a legitimate reason of how she got in. And she had a legitimate reason for wanting to be there. There was like
There
a
was like somebody
publisher
to
or
interview
something.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like we have that whole scene. I want to talk about that. Let's pause there.
Yeah.
Because I was super confused because somehow in all these things that they've done with each other, we're really like nothing has happened.
Right.
Somehow they dance together one time and they're in love. And I was like, what evidence have you shown me that leading up to this moment that was possible?
That was my big thing with it too,
Yeah.
is because like, why did Alex get so jealous? Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know. I literally don't know.
And you could make the argument that he's maybe actually had a thing for her all these years, but then you need to like fill us
Establish
in.
that.
Yeah, you need to fill us in on that and establish it. Because the way it's written is he's just like, yeah, cool, I'll watch your kid sister for you. And all of a sudden, bam, I will control her. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
Right.
The only thing in my mind that makes a lick of sense, but we don't find it out until like the end of the book or nearish the end of the book, is Alex So I'm skipping ahead, obviously, to said end of the book. Alex, when Josh left, Alex needed another way to get into her dad, Michael's house. So he needed to be invited to Thanksgiving again. So he needed Ava to invite him. So he needed to get close to Ava.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason that it seems like he's paying any attention to her. But we don't find that out until the end. So it's super confusing in the front of the book.
It also doesn't explain this sudden mutual pining on the dance floor.
No.
Like, attraction, sure. Lust, get that. But like, they're talking about, they're doing the like, it's described perfectly in, of all things, I know this is going to sound insane, but it's described perfectly in the musical Oklahoma. They wanted to have a love song in the first act, so they wrote "People Will Say We're in Love," right? Because you can't be in love yet.
Right.
That's what this is supposed to be, but it doesn't make sense for them to be doing the "we're not in love, but we're in love" part.
Yeah. And then that concludes the experiment, and we jump to Alex is going to teach Ava how to swim.
See, that's another issue I had throughout this entire book is the weird time jumps and how
Yeah.
it felt like you were walking into a scene that was already happening.
Yes.
Every single time. Like, it was like
And no
you
transition
turned
from
off
the
the
previous
camera
scene.
and then you turned it back on at a random point in time in their lives.
And I almost wish she just wouldn't have done the experiment. Because honestly,
I thought that was going to be a funny like thing that I was like, okay, so this is what we're doing. They're fucking with him, and then they get to know each other through this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended up being a very short experiment.
it was like 4 scenes.
Yeah. And like the friends are like, well, whatever. Completely the opposite of "'Tis the Season for Revenge."
Well,
Right.
and see, that's where I thought it was going. I was like, okay, so it's going to be like "'Tis the Season," where, this was the plan, but then it kind of goes haywire, and they actually do kind of end up falling for each other. And then I'm like, but that's done now.
Yeah.
Why is there so many plot points?
And why are none of them really connected to each other?
And I think the book would have been much more of a success if she would have just either gotten rid of the experiment and just did the like get to know each other in a roundabout way, and then there's the swim lessons, because there could have been a lot of cute moments with the swim lessons.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there was a few. There was a couple.
I also would have liked it if we as the people would have known all along that he was involved with their family for this specific reason.
I think it would have definitely some parts would have made a lot more sense.
Yes.
If you would have known that from the beginning.
Yeah, like if
Yes.
we had known all along that, he was playing them to begin with and then is starting to have the fighting with himself about, well, no, that's not what this is about, but I'm starting to actually feel things. Cool. In for that.
It just would have given him motive, because
Yeah.
throughout most of the book, he didn't have motive.
Well, and it's one thing if it was just from her point of view. Like, you'd be like, yeah, that would be confusing from your point of view.
Yeah.
For sure.
But it's
we
not.
have
It's from
his
both.
point of view.
Yeah.
And his point of view does not touch on this whole plot that he's been brewing for 8 years. It only talks about it in vague, like, I'm going to get the guy who killed my parents. Like, you wouldn't think about the guy's actual name. But okay. We can put that aside, except that then even with that complicated factor, how was the ending still so predictable?
Wasn't it, though?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I was just like, how did you make this so confusing? And yet I knew exactly where it was going, and not in a good way.
Well, and my biggest thing with the whole like revenge plot thing. So he believes that her dad is the reason that his parents are dead. He thinks they put out a hit on him. As we find out, that's not true. It was his uncle. His uncle framed her dad. Fine. Fine. However, then we also add in the added weirdness that her dad actually tried to murder her. A couple of times. And so he nails her dad to the wall. Well, her dad, he's actually not her father. That is why he's all bitter about it and everything, and they got divorced, blah, blah, blah. However, so he nails her dad to the wall for attempted murder on her, and then we find out that her dad didn't have anything to do with his parents' and sister's deaths. So why both?
Well, it has this like idea that you have to burn away everybody except for the main couple is kind of
Yeah.
what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so this uncle guy, he could potentially be a positive influence in their lives. Burn him. We got to find a reason for him to be the bad guy. That's what it felt like. It did not feel like it was justifiable within the plot or
No.
justified by the plot.
No.
Well, I just think it should have been one or the other. Either her dad's a piece of shit and tried to kill her and he gets his ass nailed to the wall, or his uncle's a piece of shit. He, put a hit out on his entire family. Let's nail his ass to the wall and or murder him, because that's what totally happens. But I don't think it should have been both.
No, it just definitely felt like, so one of my big problems with, I guess I see it more in romance books, but that's probably just because I read more romance books. There is so much telling and very little showing in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that is these mysteries that she's trying to include, the author, but doesn't give us the breadcrumbs throughout the book to build the tension and anxiety of like, but wait, who really did kill Alex's parents? I gotta be honest with you, I didn't give a fuck throughout this entire book who killed his parents. I did not care.
Yeah, I didn't
It was
either.
irrelevant to me.
Like, it got to the point where he pulled something out of the, library wall, and I'm like, oh, his uncle's behind it.
All right, cool. Well,
Cool.
we'll see how that ends.
Honestly, you know what this book would be perfect for? If it was a long-running, like, Days of Our Lives plot.
Yes.
Oh, hells yeah.
It does have that vibe.
Yeah, like where you
It
just
was too
get
much
little
in one-
snippets of these characters as they're interacting with one another, but then you flash over to like Barbara and John, who've been fighting on the show for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah. It was too much in a not super long book.
Right.
And yet the book felt so long.
I agree with you at that point where I was like, okay, they're in the office. Cool, this is going to end. And then I realized how much longer of the audiobook was. And I'm like, oh, no.
Well, I did text Liz, and I'm pretty sure it was not the most nice reporting. Let's see what I got here.
Why I get no text?
Because she knew I had finished the book
Yeah.
and she didn't know if you had yet.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Why is this book so long? I'm listening to this book at 2 times speed and I'm still bored. That was me. That was after I texted like the day before and was like, I think, I don't remember why we texted the day before, but I had mentioned that, that I had like 3 hours left. And I was like, but why?
Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't dislike this book. There was a lot going on with it where I was like, what?
So typically in books like this, that maybe the romance isn't very strong, there's the saving grace of the spice.
Yeah.
And this is my transition into that conversation.
It wasn't that good.
Where was it? What happened?
Well, I mean,
The TikToks is telling me these are dark, spicy books. There was like, what, one sex scene? Maybe 1.5?
Yeah.
well, and they promise these things that like they promised us that he was like really into rough sex.
Oh, yeah. The fucking butt from behind, hair pulling,
Yes.
calling filthy names, choking. I was like, okay. Okay.
Give it to
Because
me.
Madeline mentioned it. And I was like, okay. Okay. You've piqued my interest. And then it really didn't come.
Well, then you like there was a part of me that felt like Ava when I was like, wait, I thought you said that you like to fuck from behind and call people names. That's not what's happening.
Like the only part that was, I guess, kinky is when he's taking the phone call and while they're having sex.
That was probably the best part of the book.
That
I'm
was
being
pretty
so
good. I was
honest.
like, when he took the call, I'm like, oh, he didn't. I might have been in the store at that point.
Oh,
You gotta quit shopping and
think
reading
you
these
need to
books.
figure
I needed groceries.
You gotta do online delivery or something. Like you're playing dangerous games.
You just need to you have to listen to the beginning of the books, but after like the first third, no more listen in public.
It didn't help me with Dead Romantics.
Well, that was a sad one.
Her dad dies soon in that book, and I was
Yeah.
like driving out of the parking lot, going to look for makeup of all things, because I don't wear that much makeup. But I was like, ooh, Liz told me about this brand. I'm going to Ulta, and then crying in Ulta.
There is a book that's been on my TBR for a really long time called Crying in H Mart. And so if I ever get to it, I'll tell you all about it. But it's very highly recommended. but also so was this.
I've never heard of the book you just said.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, look it up. I think it won some prizes and shit.
Oh. I was
think
pretty
it's
disappointed
British.
with The Spice.
Yeah, I was too.
I was disappointed, and I kept thinking that there was going to be more, and then there wasn't. And I just it was sandwiched in between all of these plots. That my thing is, if it's a romance, if it's really a romance, then the romance infiltrates all of the plot points.
Right.
All right, like it's a key factor in how the story plays out. But you could take the romance out of this, and the book would be exactly the same.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And you could cut off so much.
Because even some of the major plot points, like the experiment, would still stick, because honestly there wasn't much romance in that. The teaching her how to swim, I mean, it probably would have been cute, but
Yeah.
Also, we haven't talked about the fact that one of her best friends is a literal princess.
Yeah.
hers is the next book.
What's her name again?
Bridget.
Look at you go. Still trap that memory of yours.
Aldovia?
It's something like that. Something like that.
I don't know.
I will say I love
Genovia.
her original bodyguard.
Booth.
Yes. I liked Booth. There was the moment where she does go out to talk to her ex-boyfriend at the bar, because she's like, if I don't just like get this over with, he's never gonna fucking, he's gonna bother us all fucking night, which I'm like, poor decision, girl. Don't go outside with this man.
Right.
But there is a moment where she's like, I'll be back in 5 minutes, and Booth says something like threatening as he walks out the door, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I love this man, but why are you allowing her to go outside?
Just because we're talking about the one of two scenes with Liam, the one thing I will say is I really liked that Ava was the one that shut Liam down all the different times. Because usually, like, the alpha male bro comes and steps in, and Alex does a little bit at the gala.
Because she actually needs assistance at that point.
Right. But she's the one who fucking busted his nose.
Oh, yeah. Like, he steps in to protect her after she's already busted his nose and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, she fucking headbutts him. I'm like, yeah, go girl. But he steps in when it is necessary. And I do appreciate that got to that point where
Right.
it was actually a necessary thing. Because, like, she fucking kicks him in the balls and walks back into the bar. At the first one, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, you go, girl. I still probably wouldn't have gone outside with him myself.
No.
I probably would have been like, hey, bouncer, sir, this person's bothering me.
Also, just like a general PSA, if you're ever in a situation where you need to headbutt somebody, first off, it's a pretty risky move. Second, you really need to aim your forehead at their nose, because the last thing you want is to just butt your head into their forehead, and nobody's happy after that.
Oh, yeah, no, I can feel the instant headache from that.
Yeah. Just general PSA.
So just leave people's noses alone.
Well, if somebody's coming up and trying to like cause problems, like
Punch them in the throat. It's
Also-
way more effective.
oh, if you can get your hands up, but if they're like this close to you,
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying if they
that
can't
cut my sound
breathe.
off. That's why you go for the balls.
Oh, yeah, every time. Also, I do get a little annoyed with her because she mentions a lot that Josh has bought her like a 12-pack of pepper spray. That bitch ain't never got that pepper spray on her.
True.
I'm going to be honest. I was gifted a, like one of those pull whistles.
Yeah.
And it just kept pulling. So it's sitting in my car right now, never to be used again.
Also, you have to be really careful with pepper spray and mace, because you're just as likely to mace yourself as you are the other person.
That's true.
And I sure would. would.
I mean,
So,
and I carry pepper spray, I do, but I especially carried it. I used to work at a bar, and I was, weirdly enough, one of the bouncers. I was security when I was working, and the cops came in one time. It was really, really cold because Midwest. And I think they were walking rounds, and so they were taking the opportunity to walk from the back of the bar from the front of the bar to the back of the bar in the heat for
Yeah.
just a minute. And they were like, "Wait, you're security?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "But you're like 5'5" and ginger." And I was like, "Correction, I am 5'4" and ginger. Thank you very much.
Is that a threat?
And
What are you trying to say about gingers?
I know, right? Fuck you. But I also had my coat on because I was standing next to the door because I was carding people when they were coming in the back door. Not that there were very many people at that time. Fucking cold as shit. But they were like, "But what if somebody comes at you?" And I just like pulled the pepper spray out of my pocket, and one of the cops goes, Good girl, and walked away. But it was just funny. I'm like, yes, I am security.
So one of the things that the author sets up is the next book, which is Bridget's book and her new bodyguard, Reese. Here's what I don't understand. And it really irks me. So I'm going to have to set up a whole bunch of stuff here to get to my point. But that's okay. Once Ava's dad, Michael, is put away, his uncle, Ivan,
Yes.
who's really the person that put out the hit on Alex's parents, kidnaps Ava and Bridget because they'd snuck out and went to some party without her bodyguards. Alex didn't have people on her that night. So he kidnaps the two women and brings them all the way to Philly, which I'm sure DC and Philly aren't that far apart. But in my brain, I'm like, that's too far to take somebody on a kidnap.
I don't think you'd be a very good kidnapper.
No, I get sick of them. I'd be like, it's 20 minutes. You got to go.
It's been too long.
Note to self, don't ever kidnap anyone with Liz.
No.
I feel like you need to get them to
She's
shut
the
up.
weak point in that plan.
She is the weak point in that plan.
I can do. I can help with the initial act, but not the long-term haul.
I don't think any of us would be good with the long-term haul because people annoy me too much. I'd be like, I can't deal with your whining anymore.
I think that's how I'd escape, is I just annoy my kidnappers. I mean, like, I just tell them in depth, like the plot of Twilight or something. And
That would
just
be
to
enough
torture
to let
them.
me get you to let go.
Yeah.
Your luck is you would like start doing that, and your kidnapper would also be like, "You're
Tell me
right, I
when."
know." And you guys would just end up having a whole conversation and be like, "Oh shit."
We just become best friends? Yeah.
Anyway, so they're in Philly at Ivan's mansion, and Alex like comes chasing, running after them. And then Reese, Bridget's bodyguards, come chasing, running after them. I just realized the point I was going to make is on an entirely different scene. So I just did all that build up for nothing.
Nailed it.
Anyway, that happened. Do you guys have anything to say about that scene?
Just that it was stupid. Like, okay.
It was
That's not
predictable.
nice.
It was predictable though, right? Like,
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah. I've read that same scene in a million things. I've watched that same scene in a million things. I didn't care.
And as you would expect, Alex's response was, "Oh, I'm too much of a danger for her to be around, so I'm gonna have to tell her that I didn't love her, and it was all really a lie." Like, cool, bro. That lasts about 20 pages.
Yes.
Also, I do end up getting annoyed with him. I remember at this point I was in Costco. I do end up getting really annoyed with him because he keeps saying that Bridget took her away from him. Because the last time he saw her was when Bridget was taking her away from him. And it's like, bro, you did that situation.
Well,
Bridget
he
held
did
her
all
while
of
she
that
was
shit.
crying. I know. Bridget held her when she was crying. Stop acting like it's Bridget's fault.
Also, like, you didn't have to say all that shit. Like, if you knew you were gonna just, like, end it all anyway, like, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
That was fucking stupid.
Oh, like, really, like, breaking Ava's heart?
Yes. You didn't have to do all that.
Well, I mean, I get the thought process of if she hates me, like, really hates me, maybe she'll get over it faster. And it's like, that's not how that works,
That's
dude.
not how that works at all.
You just
No.
layered betrayal on top of like normal breakup heartbreak.
Again, this man's supposed to be a genius.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bruh. Let's put 2 and 2 together and make 4, right? It's not that complicated. You could have just shut the literal fuck up. You like the whole thought process was, I've got to prove that I don't care about what happens to them. Shut up, then. Just be like, sure. Do whatever you gotta do, man. Shut the fuck up. It's not that hard. We didn't have to read 20 pages of you whining.
And then he gets over it real fucking quick as soon as Bridget's like, "Hey, get your shit together."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're right."
You're right. I shouldn't be moping around being a dumbass. I guess I'm gonna go win her back.
I mean, maybe the whole point of it is to get Ava to kind of be more self-reliant.
Self-sufficient. Yeah.
Yeah.
She hops, like, she mopes for months.
Well, she does whinge quite a bit at the beginning of this book about how, like, annoying it is to have people being overprotective of her and all this shit. But she does also do very little to prove to anybody that she is self-sufficient.
I will say she does have a little redemption there towards the end because
She does.
she has the time. She mopes. She's made everybody around her worried sick.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finally picks herself up and flies to another country to do her dream program, really.
I do think it's wild that Bridget's reaction to that is not, okay, I need to make sure this man never comes back into her life. But instead is, I need to go make sure this man comes back into her life. And I'm like, that would not be my choice.
No.
My choice would have been like, if I ever see him again, I'm having my bodyguards tackle him to the ground and make him eat dirt.
So now we've come to the scene that I had a problem with. So we've gotten there, which was Bridget goes to Alex's office with Reese and is like prodding Alex to basically say I love her and like go after her in the airport. And I don't understand how come Alex didn't already know that she was flying, because he says that he has a person following her around all the time. He knows that she's been swimming by herself. He knows that she's been doing all this stuff, and yet
Somehow she bought an international ticket and he doesn't know.
Exactly.
Which is way easier to trace than any of the other things he's describing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah. Like I said, this book would be a perfect, like...
Book 2 is Bridget and Reese.
Book 2 is Bridget and Reese.
Which is a no-no because she's going to become queen.
Yes, we do find that out in the epilogue that her brother has abdicated the throne to marry a peasant. So naturally, she wants to marry her bodyguard. I mean, that's not like... That's the plot, right? Like...
Yeah.
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 So, Princess Diaries too?
Well...
Sorry.
Kinda. I don't know. But I will say that the next book and the book after seem like way more interesting plots.
Yes.
So I kind of want to read them. But also, like, if this is my introduction to all of this, I don't know that I have the energy to make the effort.
I know.
I have so many books on my list.
I'm at that point, and I probably will pick up another one of her books, whether it is the next Twisted one or if it's one of like the Kings of Wrath or whatever they are ones. But this did not convince me. Twisted Love did not convince me that I want to read the next books. So then Alex goes to London, and like, if I wanted to punch him before, I really wanted to punch him now, because he goes to London and basically tells Ava, you can't get rid of me. I'm here now.
Yeah, I was a little turned off by that. I'm like, sir, she said no.
Right. He's like, I know that I'm the one who told you that like you needed to go away and that I never cared for you. Well, I was just lying to protect you. And now I really want to be in your life. And it's like, okay, sir, you don't always get to decide those things.
What's interesting to me about romance novels in general is that if you've watched How I Met Your Mother, a lot of things to talk about that show, good, bad, and otherwise. But one thing that I've always found hilarious is the Doppler-Dahmer effect, which is if you are an attractive person, the thing that you're doing that's over the top will be seen as romantic. If you're an unattractive person, it's stalking.
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yeah.
And everything he does, like if this man was unattractive, you would be like terrified about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he literally stalks her for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It
couldn't be me. Like, and that's the thing I have such a hard time rationalizing. And is it always this bad in romance novels? No. But is this a frequent enough issue that I struggle to get through a lot of them? Yeah. I cannot put myself in the same headspace as the female main character most of the time, because I'm just like, if I had someone in my life doing dumb shit like that, my reaction would be, wow, that's hot. Like, my reaction would be like, I think I need to get out of here. I think I'm in danger.
Well, and I just, how is it romantic to have somebody be like, I will not leave you alone? And your response is, well, I want you to leave me alone. And they just go, I'm not going to. I will be there wherever you are, wherever you go. I'm like, I'm going to get a fucking restraining order on you. What the fuck?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't get it either. That happens a lot in romance novels where you're like, oh, but it's so endearing, he tried to get it, but like, I appreciate the fact that she didn't instantly forgive him, but the like stalking situation for a year was not what I had in mind for that situation.
No. And also, and this is a teeny tiny little thing, but at the end she has her showcase for her photography from her fellowship intern, I don't know what it is, and he buys all of her pictures.
I didn't like that.
I did not like that either.
I don't like it either because it doesn't give anyone else a chance to buy them, so she doesn't know if people would like her artwork for its own merit.
Right.
Yeah. That's exactly why I didn't like it. I was like, when they were like, oh yeah, somebody bought all your shit, and I was like, but that doesn't tell you anything about how you actually did.
And it also doesn't help the like word of mouth that you really need in that scenario, because you need somebody to buy it, hang it in their home, and then have other people come over and be like, that's a really cool picture. Oh, I got it at this showcase and this is who did it, blah, 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 blah.
Right?
It's not helpful.
No, it's not. And like, to me, it's a much more romantic gesture if he picked one that felt like it was in some way related to something about the two of them, right?
Yeah.
You know, like if he calls her like sunshine throughout this whole thing, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And so maybe she has a picture of a sunset and he's like, that's the one.
Or even if he was like, I waited until the very end of the night to give everybody else an opportunity because I know you needed to really like show this off. But then I went and found the one that I really wanted.
Well, it also doesn't mean as much if money means nothing to you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At one point, he buys the like most expensive painting in the gallery that she works at just because he wants to talk to her and he wants to get her manager to shut up. And it's like $40,000. It's like, I don't like it when they throw money around like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a billionaire romance every now and then. They're kind of fun. But I also like the billionaire romance where like they actually make a concerted effort to what they are purchasing you really is something for you that means something that is of you and everything, not just because like I can buy everything. Like I don't like that part of some billionaire romances.
Well, in billionaire romances, the thing that becomes the precious commodity usually then is time. And so I think that's why, not to bring it back to the book we talk about all the time, but the fine print, I loved it so much is because Rowan spent so much time with her
Right.
and with her sister and like helping her with her artwork.
And grows into at least a slightly better person by the end.
Yeah.
What growth do we see from Alex in this? Other than he's decided that she is his and he's going to treat her like a possession. None.
Yeah.
None. There's no growth. Like, he does not look at anything he's done and go, oh, I regret doing that. Oh, okay.
Danny, you liked this book.
What
Did you like about this
I don't
book?
know. It was a vibe thing.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's fine. I was just like, we shat on it for most of it. Maybe somebody needs to lift us up at the end.
It was just a vibe thing. And I appreciate the fact that it wasn't the like instant, okay, fine. You know, yes, you said these things to hurt me but we're fine. We're good. Like she at least made him work for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a big gripe for me in romance novels sometimes is that like they fucked up and they fucked up hard. And trust me, I've read a lot of dark romance novels and they fuck up hard. And then they're just instantly, it's fine. It's whatever. I appreciate the fact that that was not the case here. Like that man worked for over a year and a half to like get back into her good graces. I still don't like how he did it, but at least it was an instant okay. You know, he didn't gaslight her to make her think he loved her all along.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we talk about how sometimes with guys, the bar is on the floor.
Yeah.
Are we allowing that to leak into our romance novels as well?
I feel like it.
Probably.
If we're like, because I come to this shit for escapism, right? And I am out here on these dating apps. I don't know why. It's literally insanity. Like if doing the same thing, expecting a different result is insanity, here I am, insane, standing before you. So yeah. But like, I don't know. I feel like the standard of what makes a guy romantic in our romance novels is also on the floor in a lot of them. And this being a perfect example of that. I'm like, I don't see the romance here. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm blind. But I don't see it.
Well, and I can make the argument as well, though, that maybe I come from a different perspective than the two of you. Liz has been married for a very long time. I make that sound like you've been married for decades.
I've been married for a decade.
For a decade, yes.
Which when you're early 30s is a long time.
Yes.
It is a long time.
Liz has been married for a long time. You are still actively looking for relationships and everything. I don't want one at all. A man could walk up and profess his undying love to me tomorrow and I'd probably laugh in his face.
I mean,
But
I
what
would
if?
too.
But what if? Hold up. What if he did that and he had a tail?
That would be a different conversation.
Oh my God.
But even at that, I'd probably be like, but we're going to have separate bedrooms and you have no say in the rest of my life. I don't want a relationship. I don't want a romantic relationship. It is not my thing. I am so fucking over that. It's not even funny.
I get that.
And so maybe that's why these books, those things about these books don't bother me as much, because like, do I want that in my real life? No, but I don't want the cutesy fluffy relationship either.
I would say I agree with you, except like if this was just a slutty romp, I would have liked it way better.
See, that was my thing. Not to cut you off, but it's like if there would have at least been like, I don't know, at least a solid 4 times the amount of spice, I would have been like, whatever, Alex, you fuck good, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I complain a lot about these books, obviously. But I feel like at least if you're true to what you're trying to achieve, maybe it's good. But like if this is romance, traditional romance, it failed in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If this is a smutty book, it failed in my opinion.
Yeah.
If this is a drama, it failed in my opinion. So like, what is this book?
It very much confused me, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked the like tension moments in this book at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, when Madeline says that, you know, he likes to fuck behind, pull hair, choke you and call you dirty names, I was like, oh hot damn, let's do this. But then it didn't happen. So then
Right, because not to go down the like talking about writing craft, because I'm not an expert and I'm not studied by any means, other than my own like personal research. But what happened there is the author made a promise, right? She said, almost like a Chekhov's gun situation, right? Like you told us the hair pulling and the dirty names and all of that, and then we didn't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe we got like, I don't know, like a cute version of it, but we didn't like get it.
yeah.
And I'm expecting something.
I've shown you novels that have those things. I wanted those.
I know.
Also tail action.
This is, I think,
There's no tails.
a classic example, though, of something that we've been seeing more and more as we read things that are popular rather than our own personal, like, hey, I brought this book to the table because I read it and I like it.
Right.
We're trying to read what you are all reading. Because you're all exposed to the same books, because we're all being fed the same books from all the same reviewers, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really, really starting to question whether or not I should trust anything that's popular, because the majority of the like reading failures I've had in the last year have been popular books on Book Talk or BookTube, or what is the Instagram version of that? Bookstagram. Like, I just, I have a very well curated Goodreads, or I did, and now it thinks I want to read these things like this, and I'm like, no, I don't.
My Audible is very confused, and I'm like, no.
Yes. And so I don't know. I think the step forward is I'm going to be a lot more picky about the reviewers I get behind. If you are not, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was this big, Book Talk drama about this one author. I don't even know what her name is. I'm not going to blast her on here. But basically saying that if you rate below a 3, you're an asshole.
I saw that. And fuck that.
Yeah.
What's the point of rating then? That means 3 becomes the new 1, 4 becomes the new 3, and 5 is probably still 5.
Right.
That's all it means.
Yeah, you've just shortened what the rating system is. That's it. You've left less room for nuance. But yeah, so I bring that up to say that I don't trust reviewers who don't rate below a 3. And I don't think I'm going to watch anybody who doesn't have some 2s and 1s in their arsenal.
Yeah. Yep.
We don't have to agree on everything, because I don't want that, right?
No, we don't agree on everything.
Right. But you do have to have things you don't like, or I'm not going to trust you. So on that note, what do you guys have for ratings this week?
Oh boy. let's start where we always start. Spice? Question mark?
It was like a 2. I liked
Yeah.
the fucking on the phone scene. That was nice.
It was a 2.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like it's certainly not as low as some of the ones that don't have any spice at
Yeah.
all in them, right? But like the quantity and the quality were both lower than expected.
And just for like frame of reference, we gave Bridgerton a 2.
Yeah.
So like, and I liked that spicy scene a lot better than the ones in this one.
You know, that did remind me of a point. I think that the way I felt about Edwina in the show Bridgerton
Yeah,
is kind of how I felt about Ava.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Nah,
I can really see it.
They did Edwina dirty in the show.
they really did.
They're trying to tell a different story.
They really
Yeah.
were.
What about your romance?
What's the most meh number? I guess like a 2.
It was like a 2. It wasn't very romantic.
I guess I'll give it a 2 as well. I was actually even contemplating going a little bit lower, but we'll go with the 2. We'll be at 2s. Your overall?
A 2.
It's a 2.
I gave it a 3 on Goodreads because you can't do halves, but it's a 2.5. I find the too many plot points confusing. I wish they would have gone with like 1 or 2 of them and stuck to them. It became all kind of convoluted.
Yeah, it definitely felt like, in my opinion, it felt like somebody wrote a bunch of scenes that they thought would be interesting. And then instead of like picking and choosing the ones that they liked and then putting like transitions and all of that in, they just said, well, here's the book. Here are all the scenes that I liked, instead of kind of stringing them together correctly.
It felt like it was multiple novels all in one.
Yes. Yeah.
It felt like a puzzle where you've got most of the pieces, so you are very hyper aware of the pieces that are missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to our recommendations. What have you got? Talk to me. Well, Danny, go.
So my recommendation is Vicious. It's the first book in the Sinners and Saints series by L.J. Shen.
I've heard of that one.
It's a past relationship coming back situation, enemies to lovers. It's more of a vibes thing. They, and there's a artistic vibe to it as well, which the main character in this book also has. So that's kind of where I'm going with that one. Also, there's the criminal aspect. He's rich and kind of shady as shit and that kind of thing. So
I get you.
I really don't have a recommendation because I don't consume media that's like this outside of this show. So the best I can come up with is that for me this all felt very much like a soap opera plot, so I'm going to recommend my favorite soap opera and the weirdest one, which is Port Charles.
Port Charles, a spinoff of General Hospital.
That features vampires and angels and kidnapping and
lasted like 3 seasons.
it was the weirdest
Not
thing in the
even?
world. So enjoy that.
I will say though, as a teenager who's also watching like Buffy around the same point in time, it was a great experience. No, like a middle schooler.
I don't know if this is true because I obviously have not watched this since then. But I have in my memory that the main guy's name was Caleb, and
I think you're right.
I think I'm right.
He was
He
the
had,
typical
like, long-
dark skin, longish black hair.
Yep.
Always wore that like leatherish jacket
Yes.
everywhere. Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
And then there was like an Elena like character. If you've watched the Vampire Diaries, I wonder if they were inspired. Because it's actually a very similar plot, because the angel guy who is also in love with the Elena type character kind of looks like not Damon, but the other one. Stefan. Somebody's got some explaining to do.
Well, as somebody who's currently rewatching the Vampire Diaries, the first season at the very least does not hold up, and don't hate me for that. I'm just trying to get past it.
What do you have?
Okay, so there's a duology that I would recommend. It's Unhinged Desires is the first one, and the second book is Certifiable Attraction. Honestly, just read them back to back as if it's one book, by Kylie Kent, and that is the book that you gave me for my birthday.
Oh.
It is a billionaire dark romance, but it's a stalker, so it's way darker than this book. So it's like if you wanted this book, Twisted Love, to be darker, spicier, and to have the main male character be more murdery, there you go.
More murder.
More murder. I actually really enjoyed those books. They weren't like, oh my God, it's so amazing. They were just like, cool. This is nice. This is good. And then I would also recommend American Queen by Sierra Simone. However, it takes a long time to get to the spice in that book. So you just got to be patient. But that one is where the American president is in love with both his vice president, which is that a spoiler? I don't think it is. I think you know pretty quickly. And then the main female character, and it's a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's it. So if you liked this episode, folks, please find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets. On everything you can think of. We're brand new to Threads now. I'd love to chit chat with you over there, so come find me. Otherwise, look at our website at wrongdustjackets.com to see any upcoming episodes, find our blog, yada, yada, yada. That's all, folks. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.